do any shots below 1/20th of a second, because I've got hands that shake like a dog that is doing something that would age restrict my stream if I said it proverbially. So let's just get started. So I'm gonna sort the exposure first and just get a starting point. Okay. And we're gonna start by cropping out a bit of this sky. There's a bit too much going on, not enough, and we want to line up, well, I like to line up things with the grid, so I'm going to line the castle up with the second third, and then we'll have the leading line of the sea leading up here, follow the path round up there, along to the sea and back past the castle. And so let's have a look at how that looks on the side. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up just a little bit more. Right. Okay, so cropped. Now we're going to start on the exposure, and I think I want it to be a bit darker, and then we'll start by bringing out the blacks first. Let's bring a bit of life in. And what I like to do here is get all my lens corrections in, if they're not already. Enable that and that into the profile and pick my lens. That should pick up my wide angle lens. That'll sort distortion around your corners from using wide angle chromatic aberrations. Well worth doing. First thing you start. And so let's go back up to our lighting and exposure. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the highlights just to the point where I don't want it to affect the lighting. So we're going to get it to where that breaks through there. I'm holding the Alt key there to bring out the highlight exposure. Just the moment that that last drop disappears there, and then anywhere beyond that point, so I know that at -1 it's all gone. So I can work somewhere in here. Just going to go on what looks visually right to me. And we'll go with that. And now we use shadows. I like to do this just as my eye sees it. And if I can create a bit of contrast with it, I'll do that. And so I'm going to drop that down a bit and just bump up the contrast a little bit, just to add a bit of sharpness to the colour in there. And that is that done. And so now the blacks, I look up here at my histogram and I can see that there's a nice little gap between the bottom of there and our lowest, deepest blacks. And so that is going to allow me to put just a little bit of dehaze on there. I like to do this, it just makes your sky punch a little bit. You can overdo it. Just to give an example, that is full blown, ultimately dehazed. And I just work backwards from there to a point where it doesn't take much of the colour out, but it does dips a bit of the noise reduction and just adds a bit of drama. So I'm just going to leave that there. Now, that's pretty much done as far as editing goes. So I'm just gonna, it would be a natural edit. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spot that now as my original. So this is from natural. Just export that. So we've got that there done, and now we're going to start having a bit of a tweak to make it a little bit more beyond what the eye sees and just a little bit more me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a gradual filter. Now, before I put this on, I always set the exposure either really high or really low, just so as soon as I draw it on, I know where it's affecting it. So I can obviously bring that back round. Now, I like the leading line. Just get rid of that a sec. I like the leading line of this, and so I'm going to try and bring a bit of attention from this side to lead the eye over this way and then to come back round. And so with my gradient filter, I'm going to start in this corner and just bring in a bit of life to the bottom. And I'm OCD with this. I like to try and get the bar crossing in the corners like that. And now I'll just see where that starts to affect it and make sure I'm in a nice place, which I am. We'll bring that to life a bit more. Now I'm going to want to bring a bit more of the light out in this, just because it is the white of the image that's leading it there. I'm just going to try and bring a bit of attention to that, but I'm also going to drop the highlight a little bit to counter it. And I want some contrast down here as well, and a bit of drama, so I'm going to go into the clarity here and push this all the way up, and you can see it doesn't look as dramatic. And now I'm just going to start amending my filter line to where it's starting to come a bit to life, and I want it to break in the middle, so the light leads you across to the middle. And that's that done there. Now, if you notice up here now, we've got a little white clip and it's showing me it's in here. That's because of this. So I'm going to drop that down there. And I'm going to go back into my normal settings and just drop the whites a bit. And we'll see, we've got that sorted now, so it's not clipping anymore. I'm just going to drop the highlights as a little bit as well. And then I'm going to drop this exposure just back down a bit now. Okay, that's nice. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the light over to the top up here. And I'm just going to drop some of the saturation out of this, just for now. We're going to be adding the colour in a bit more individually. So we'll just drop that down a little bit, but we'll pop the vibrance up just a tad. Okay, and for this now, I'm going to go into the Hue Saturation and Luminance editors, and I want my main focus to be on this colour here, the orangey, well, the pink just above the orange. So I'm going to grab my colour corrector, I'm going to find the pink in the photo, and I'm going to look at which dials get edited. So it's the red and the orange. So if I drop both those out, it's quite nice actually. Kind of feel like I want to completely just abandon where I was going after seeing that. I'm just going to pop the blues up just to see how that looks. That is nice. Okay, so if we just bring a little bit of this colour back in, not much. And now I'm just going to push the reds back in, but not the orange. And then just bring a bit more orange back. Alright, and so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop down the luminance, up the luminance of the orange, sorry. and just see how that goes. Right, we're going to push that back the other way just to keep a bit of contrast between the red and the orange in there. And put that down further towards red. And just watch these saturation levels here. Blue's gone a bit nutty, so that is going to stand out like a sore thumb. We'll pop that back down there. And I kind of want to just bring all the attention to this horizon at this point. So I'm going to pop a radial filter on and select the bit that I want the focus to be drawn to. And we're going to end up putting a little vignette on this, I think. With that in mind, I'm going to grab a bit more at the end of the, I'm going to grab it from the end of the leading line here. And so the center point will be the center point of the picture and the horizon. I'm going to invert this radial filter now. If I invert that, you see it brings all the attention to the center. We don't want it to be this dramatic. This looks like looking through binoculars, but we don't want that. I'm just going to bring this down a little bit just to get rid of the noise reduction in there. And if you're wondering about what these little splodges are, they are birds, but I was using a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second because I didn't have my tripod, and yeah, they're too fast. So let's just drop this down a bit more. I do want to keep the colour punching harder than the rest, so I'm going to pop the saturation up. Just look at that on my other screen. Monitor screen, I'm going to drop a little bit out of there and add a bit of a golden hour tint. That's looking nicely, and now I'm going to bring this it's going to be a vignette, but I'm going to do it straight. So if you hold the shift key when you're doing this, you can keep your horizon straight. So I'm going to bring the vignette around to about that point there. Instead of letting it lighter, I'm going to bring that exposure down. Should bring a bit more attention. There we go, we're getting there. I do still want the whites to be in. There's a little white in the water there. Bring that back up. And again, I'm just going to bump up the clarity on that one. It's not affected too much. Alright, and I like the bottom. I like that, that's working well. And now let's go up onto a bit of life over here. Just a bit of contrast in the sky there. That's going to be too bright, but I just want a bit of the blue so it leads the eye round. So we'll leave that there and then just start to tweak this. What I'm going to do is, because I want as much brightness as possible, I want rid of the noise reduction. So I'm going to just pump that a little bit and put that there. I see how it's affecting that second monitor. It's a bit too much. So I'm actually editing through my TV now, which does not have anywhere near as much colour space as my streaming monitor. So I'm just double checking it on the streaming monitor as well. There's a lot more colour in that one. The first time streaming, didn't actually realise how prominent that was. I'm going to give this blue more life. Just bump up the saturation in there a little bit. And to help it along, one of my little Vagrant tricks here is I like to come to the bottom of these colours and then just ease the colour in. I like. You see how that changes as you go. And you can just add, and see, just go over it, and you can bring your own. You can make that photo your own and just really get a bit of character in there. So yeah, I expect to see that a bit more. And yeah, I'm going to go back down now and back to where I wanted it. So I wanted just a bit of extra blue. And we'll look at that there. That. Okay. Now that's that. And lastly, well, I say lastly, I could keep going with this. I'm going to bring this in as well. I'm going to make this side darker. Just from this corner here, just as I say, we're going for that vignette to draw the attention in from the foam around the eye. Going a bit too far. And again, we want some drama in the sky there, so I'll pump that up. Just do the same on this one. Or was it this one? It's this one. Okay, and that one. Right. Right, so I'm starting to feel like this is just a little bit too dark down here. Just going to breathe a bit into there. And there's my, I'm not being as descriptive now, but I'm just going to give this radial filter a bit of clarity. Not too much though. And then I'm going to narrow it down just slightly. And there we are. That is finito as far as the PC goes. So I would give it some final tweaks on my phone editor as well, just because phones give you a better representation of how they're going to appear on other people's phones. I'll just pop in and do the lights and the shadows, highlights, and the blacks again, just in Lightroom on my phone. But that's pretty much it. That is how I edit a photo for a standard edit, an extra light edit, and then a bit of a tweak. I've decided I'm going to save the Vagrant edit where I just go nuts with the colours for a separate video. This was just a trial run for me, just to see if I'm actually able to hold my own. And so, yeah, thanks for watching. Content on all socials, Vagrant Media UK. It's gaming and editing and making music and coffee and mental awareness, mental health awareness as well. So a little bit for everyone, and plenty more to come. That is all I can say on that. So thanks for watching. Let's get this exported. Edit. Get the watermark on there. And there we are. Job done. Thanks for watching.